This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley Smith.
Good day and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Today is Friday, May 31st of 2024. Hard to believe we're at the end of May already. We're so glad you can join us for today's show. In today's episode, of course, I think we're going to be remembering May as a month of very stormy weather. So I had the chance to visit with Iowa State Climatologist Dr. Glisan and kind of catch up on what the month of May was like, as well as what we can maybe expect from the nearby forecast. But first, let's take a look at the closing markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of another trading day in the ag marketplace, we're here with Curt Kimmel of agmarket.net. Curt, here at the end of the week, what do we see the grain markets doing today?
Well, we expected a little short covering ahead of the weekend and ahead of month end, but boy, we started out firmer overnight, had a little giddy up to the market, and once again, Friday, we kind of deteriorated, eroded. Corn on the day down 2 to 4 cents, beans down 4, 6 cents, wheat down 2 to 3 cents. It felt heavier than that for some reason. Main thing they're looking at is a little bit better of a forecast in here. We're still trying to get that last 10% of the crop in the ground. That'll continue to be debated, but the forecast is a little bit more favorable. It's hard for the trade to get too bullish with wet weather, so it's going to take a little time if that's going to happen. But the thorn in the side is the weak sales as far as demand. It's routine. This morning's weekly export sales report came in just about as expected for the most part. Nothing stuck out. But the big thing on sales is the new crop sales. We're not seeing any big, large new crop sales, particularly from Asia. And typically this time of the year, they start buying for this fall and early winter delivery. So hopefully when they come in, they'll do like they've done in the past and buy 2-3 million metric tons at a time. But until we get that demand kicked in here, the trade just has kind of a defensive posture for the most part. As I mentioned, weather, we'll see how this weather unfolds, but we got to remember there's some problems around the world weather-wise. So we'll come in here Sunday night. Monday morning, you kind of see what, like particularly Russia, they had a little frost freeze, done some damage there, but they've been extremely dry into Ukraine. They had a few showers up to a quarter inch. Their wheat's in the filling stage there, and so we'll monitor that. But the big thing is, I think you got to watch this Mexico. When you look at the drought monitor, our drought's pretty well gone here in the U.S., but the drought monitor, the U.S. drought monitor only shows the United States. If you look at the North American drought monitor, you'll see some pretty good red colors there in Mexico. And some of the forecasters are saying keep an eye on that because that could migrate straight north, but it'll mainly be in the far western regions. And we'll see if that materializes in June. It can migrate to the east, but, that's the thing is watching this weather pattern. That's going to be the market maker. Weather is going to affect the bottom line on yield, and that moves the market quite a bit on what that yield is going to be times harvested acres. Monday, we'll have our first crop conditions report for corn. Trade's dialed into 70% good to excellent right at the moment here. So we'll see planting progress and crop conditions report next week. The thing is, the June 12th crop report, that'll be the next major market maker. On the weekly scale, corn closed down 18.5 to 21 cents a bushel on the week. Man, a nasty weekly reversal to the downside there. Started strong there Monday night, and we deteriorated all week. Soybeans down 34 to 43 cents a bushel, and the wheat market down 18 cents a bushel. We look at the technical picture on corn and soybeans. We're below those moving averages, so we need to get back above the moving averages. On the monthly scale, we closed out the month here Friday. the soybeans and wheat actually held in there pretty good for the month, and the corn just kind of finished lower for the month. So technically, we're a little bit of a danger zone in here. Seasonally, we have some strength in the 1st of June, and 1st of June's here next week, so see what we get.
And then, Curt, of course, last weekend being Memorial Day weekend, saw some strength for the meat marketplace with the grilling season being at its peak. This weekend, heading into, or another weekend following Memorial Day, how are we looking on the livestock markets?
Yeah, I did my part and cooked some brats and some ribs, so I don't think it helped the market a whole lot. But cash cattle was $1 lower in the West. Iowa was anywhere from up to $3, up $2, down $3, mixed bag. Box beef is just kind of steady on the week, cut out, kind of trying to hang in there. On the monthly, the cattle did gain about $8 there, so the fats continue to hang in there. On the weekly scale here, we did give up about $2 on the June fats. So kind of toppy technically there. Keep an eye on it. The ag market team recommends maybe some price floors in the fats in case things roll on over. Hog-wise, we saw the market finish about unchanged for the week. The lean index was steady. Cutout values was steady, maybe a little soft. When you look at the wholesale level there, the loins are 102, the hams are 85, and those bellies are creeping back up to 133 at the wholesale level. So, yeah, we're seeing cookout featuring kicking in through here and hopefully generate a little bit of demand. On the weekly export sales report, the fast beef exports were a little light, but the pork exports were fairly strong, up over 40 million metric tons. So we're continuing to see some strong pork exports.
All right, Curt, lots of great information today for those of our listeners who would like to get in touch, learn more, and just visit with the folks at agmarket.net. How can they do that?
1-800-779-1515, or go to agmarket.net. Click on Intel. That's where we have a lot of information on different strategies and some of the ideas that the teams put together there.
All right, Curt, thanks for visiting with us today, as always, and have a great weekend.
Take care.
That again was Curt Kimmel of agmarket.net. We'll take a look at how the numbers closed through the market window at iowaagnet.com. At the close, July corn down 2.5 at 4.46 1/4. July soybeans down 4 3/4 at 12.05 even. July soybean meal up 110 at 364.70. Soybean oil down 20 cents at 45.52. Chicago wheat down 2.5 at 678 1/2. Kansas City hard red wheat down 3/4 cent at 708 3/4. Minneapolis spring wheat down 2 1/4 at 739 3/4. July oats up 1 3/4 at 387 1/2. On the Merc, June live cattle down $1 at 181.55. August feeders down 267 at 256.40. June lean hogs up 37 cents at 94.35. June pork cutout went up 37 cents as well at 102.70. And June class 3 milk up 11 cents at 19.47. And that's been a check of the markets here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, I talk with Iowa State Climatologist Dr. Justin Glisan. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Well, the month of May was full of severe weather, whether it was just thunderstorms, tornadoes, even a derecho that passed through the state. There was a lot going on, and of course we did get a lot of that replenishing rain with that severe weather, as that is where we get most of our rain throughout the year. But the damage from it, of course, was very unfortunate, as well as we saw with that Greenfield EF4 tornado. I visited with Iowa State Climatologist Dr. Justin Glisan to get the latest on that severe weather, kind of talk about the impacts of it, and as well as what we might be able to expect from the upcoming forecast. We're here with Iowa State Climatologist Dr. Justin Glisan for a weekly chat on the latest climate conditions here in Iowa. First off, Justin, great to have you on this week. Tell us a little bit about how the latest drought monitor is looking.
Yeah, hey, Riley. Always nice to see you. drought. That's the headline today. The first time since June 30th of 2020 that we don't have drought somewhere on the U.S. Drought Monitor depiction for Iowa. So drought-free, 203 consecutive weeks of D1 somewhere in the state. So the longest drought since 1954 to 1959. If you look at March, April, May, spring, meteorological spring, we're in the top 10 wettest for 7 of the 9 climate divisions of the state. You look at May, anywhere from 130 to 180% of normal rainfall. And again, this is tied in, unfortunately, with widespread severe weather.
And of course, like you just said, there has been no shortage of that severe weather. But as we talk a lot, on these interviews, that's where the moisture comes from, is from those severe weather events. And it's kind of crazy that we did get that much moisture from it, because, Mark was just mentioning earlier that you look at the drought monitor, or, the drought map, and it looks like it's been inverted from past years. That's just how much rain certain areas have gotten.
Absolutely. So 25% D0, abnormally dry. We've been in thunderstorm deficits, droughts, for lack of a better term, over the last 3 growing seasons, and hence drought expansion and intensification. So along with the severe weather, as you mentioned, the thunderstorms that bring us the severe weather also bring us beneficial rains. And we've seen increases in stream flows. Much of the northern half of the state has well above normal stream flows for this time of year. Soil moisture profiles are saturated, at least at the shallow layers, but also getting deeper infiltration. And then you're talking about these longer term precipitation deficits. So just over the last 2 weeks, we've had tornadoes, we've had hail. Last Friday, we had another derecho, which again, as a reminder, it's a squall line that has to go at least 400 miles, be 60 miles wide, and within that swath have at least a majority of the wind gusts at 58 miles per hour or above. So we had a derecho along with 18 tornadoes with that event. Overall this season, we've had 103 tornadoes already, 3 significant above EF2, and unfortunately the Greenfield EF4, which we lost 5 Iowans. But yes, we look at the silver lining here is a removal of drought. Now it is keeping some farmers out of the fields, and some planters haven't been able to get out. But overall, this has been the drought buster that we needed. Year to date, in the top 10 wettest years on record.
And then I saw that you had tweeted this when we were learning more about the tornadoes, especially the Greenfield tornado, that due to the conditions that we saw, this is also, kind of an amazing time to get data on severe weather as well, right?
Absolutely. And these are the type of events that we need information, we need observations on. That's why storm chasers are good. There were 2 mobile Dopplers, we call them Doppler on wheels, that were outside of Greenfield sampling the tornado as it was on the ground in the larger scale supercell with its mesocyclone. So really high resolution radar data from those 2 DAOs, but also visual observations from drones that were following the tornado as it started to put out multiple vortices and satellite tornadoes around the main circulation. So I really think, as a meteorologist myself, that we're going to get some good science, and the fatalities and the injuries that we suffered will not be in vain, that we will get some science that will help us better forecast, but also give us better lead times. The Greenfield tornado, the National Weather Service did a superb job, 30 to 40 minutes of lead time, and that undoubtedly saved more lives. So with the National Weather Service and the science progressing, it's the silver lining there as well.
You'd mentioned this earlier, but one of the concerns when we were starting to get a lot of rain was, yes, it was getting into the soil, but it wasn't necessarily as available for the plants because they didn't already have deep roots. So yes, it was getting down there, but the plants had no access to it. But you mentioned that those shallower soil profiles are getting more filled. Are we looking at, we'll be pretty well set for the summer season, or as usual, are we going to want to still see those timely rains?
Well, both, definitely, because with vegetative demand, as corn and beans physiologically move ahead, as they move more water through their roots up into the plant, we're starting to extract more soil moisture. And then in concert with warmer temperatures, more atmospheric demand, you're pulling out more surface moisture as well. So those timely rainfalls help replenish the soil profiles as they lose moisture through the growing season. The timely rainfalls will hold the crop on as they've done over the last few years, but we're really banking a lot of soil moisture. And I think we're in a particularly good position. Just thinking about the last 4 years where we've been, this is where we want to be.
And then, Justin, just looking at the kind of current outlook for the next couple weeks or so when it comes to these weather patterns, seems like not as much rain. Is that just kind of what we're looking at right now? Or, what's the severe weather outlook on top of that as well?
In the 6 to 10 day outlooks, we're seeing near normal temperatures, but also a dry signal. Just what we need for farmers to finish up field work and planting, given how wet conditions have been. So our new June outlooks will come out tomorrow morning, and it will give us a better idea of what the longer term outlooks are showing. At least initially in the middle of May, when we saw the first June outlook from the Climate Prediction Center, we see an elevated wet signal. We'll just have to see how that has evolved over the last 2 weeks.
And then finally, of course, we are still moving from that El Nino that we saw last winter back to La Nina. What's the current status on that transition period that we're seeing right now?
Yes, so we're seeing cooler waters in the Eastern Pacific in the part of the ocean. We call it the Nino 3.4 region. Sea surface temperatures are becoming near normal, and we're starting to see thunderstorms diminish. So the atmosphere is decoupling from the ocean. We call this El Nino or ENSO neutral conditions, El Nino Southern Oscillation, which is the larger scale climate pattern. El Nino, La Nina work in a 2 to 7 year cycle within that larger ENSO climate phase. So if you look at the transition, the strong El Nino we had in winter that gave us the second warmest winter on record, to the potential for a weak to moderate La Nina in summer, right in the middle of that, ENSO neutral conditions, you look at the analog years. So for April, May, and June, either near normal or wetter than average. So we're staying true to what we've seen in past events. And then if we look towards summertime, a low correlation between the phase of La Nina or El Nino and summertime behavior, given that thunderstorms are the main rainmaker during the growing season. So there's a weak correlation with those larger scale climate drivers. However, if you look at analog years in a rapid transition, as we're going through 1998, 2016, there is a warmer signal for summertime. And that's why it was so important, as you asked that very good question about how we're doing and what does summertime look like. If we do see warmer and a drier stretch, the soil moisture that we're banking now is a good repository to work off of, along with those timely rainfalls. In terms of rainfall in general for summertime, in a weak La Nina transition, it's been all over the board. We've had wet summers, we've had dry summers, but definitely we are seeing that warmer signal.
All right, Justin, lots of great information today. For those of our listeners who would like to get in touch and learn more or offer some ground report observations, how can they do that?
Absolutely. So I'm glad you mentioned the on the ground observations. My direct line is 515-281-8981. Google Iowa Climatology Bureau. It'll bring you to our website, which will have my contact information as well. Yeah, always reach out if you need data or observations or just want to chat about what you see.
All right, Justin, thanks so much for visiting with us this week, and we look forward to chatting again soon.
Thanks, Riley.
That again was Iowa State Climatologist Dr. Justin Glisan. That brings us to the end of today's episode of Ag Matters PM. Thanks again for tuning in. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. Also follow us on social media at Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and TikTok, and find our video content as well as previous episodes of AM PM on our YouTube channel. Don't forget as well to check out our free morning, midday, and closing market podcasts, as well as the Iowa Ag Matters podcast and Pod to Potential. You can find those on your favorite podcast streaming service at Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Riley Smith. For Mark Magnuson and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.